Hey everybody, this is Melina from ScrapbookingWithMe.com and Me Crafty Scrapper here on YouTube and Instagram and over on Facebook at Me Crafty Scrapper Creates. That's my business page. If you are not a subscriber here at Me Crafty Scrapper, please do so and click that little bell so you can get a notification every time I upload a new video. Today is another episode of Scrapbusters. And today's challenge is we are making scrappy bundled notions. And you might think, okay, what does that even mean, Melina? Scrappy bundled notions. And I'm going to write that down because, of course, right now I am making the video. I will upload the video in just a little bit. And by that time, I will have done 14 other things. And I will have forgotten what I called it. So, scrappy bundled notions. And these are to pretty up our journals. And I want y'all to see just how pretty these things decorate up your journal page. Look, look, look. Watchy, watch, watch. Look how pretty. Now, I would use these as decoration on a page. And I would leave them so they are just clipped in or something. So, removable. And so you have a little bit of something going on up top. At the very top, I have a decorative paper clip, and the little bobbles on it are not wanting to cooperate with me. So you could just clip that in. I'll talk in a minute. And then you have your little beautiful part showing at the top of your journal. And then you open it up, and you've got this nice, pretty little bundle of notions all together there. And it came from your scrap pile. So, I love this idea. You could clip it in with just a regular paper clip, one of those little teeny tiny Tim Holtz ones. You could put it in with a binder clip. Come on over to the very edge like this and clip it in with a binder clip like that. And have, you know, not so much showing out the top if you didn't want to. And I've tied my toppers as bows. You could just tie them in a double knot or a library knot like, you know, top of the tag would be. But this is just a way to use up some scraps and make nice little notions to go in our journals. So this back part here is just a cut off from a piece of tea stained paper, and then I have folded it over on the top, and then inside I have added another piece of dyed paper. That is some food color dyed paper, a piece of book page. We have another piece of ink dyed paper. We have some of that altered book page that's got just a little bitty hint of some gesso, tinted gesso on it. We have a little frame that I will never use anywhere else, so I put it in there. A little piece of scrap fabric, and then a little piece of scrap lace material there. And then at the top here, on the actual tea stained paper, I have just stamped with an old script stamp in that gray flannel memento ink color. I put in an eyelet, put in a little bit of seam binding at the top, and that's all there is to it. You don't even have to ink these. Now, if you want them more grungy looking, of course, go for it. Ink the edges with some distress ink and ink all your little pieces that go inside. But this project is so freeing in that you don't have to ink every little piece that goes in it. And so you can make multiples at the same time. And I like the skinnier version like this one. I made this wide one first just as a prototype to see, you know, how it was going to come out. And I love this one. I just like the skinnier ones better. This one you have to think a little bit harder because you got more real estate to cover on this one, you know. So I've got some book page, some mulberry paper, some dictionary page, napkin, a piece of scrapbook cardstock, and then a piece of lace trim. And I put a little word label at the bottom of this one. And then it's got 2 types of trims at the top, and the back side of this one is not pretty to me at all, so I would cover this one all over on the back with maybe some cream colored cardstock or something like that. You could have lots of journaling space there. But I collaged on top of this with just some scrap papers. And then that made that one up. And look, I didn't ink it. And I love how they look. They have a very shabby chic sort of feel to them when they're not inked. But like I said, you can go for it, ink all you want on these if you want to do that and make them grungy looking. So I have some pull-offs from a smaller journal that I made, so I had to cut down my papers. So that's the cut-offs from that. I've got some dictionary page, and I've got some altered book pages that I thought would look good in there, ripped up. And then I have some fabric, and this is leftover fabric from that journal that I finished this week, that I added fabric from Miss Betty and Renfro. And I think I'm going to go ahead and trim me out a piece of this and then cut it in half. So we'll have fabric for 2 of these Scrappy bundled notions. And I just made up that name for this because they're not tags. They're not just a one-sided 2D embellishment. They're not notepads. So I just had to come up with a different name for these. Let's go ahead and get this piece out. And I've got this little piece of ad print paper. And I want this to show at the bottom. So I'm going to cut that. And I am not measuring these as far as how wide they are or anything like that. And then I'm going to cut off about 2 inches off the top to get it the size that I want. So I'm going to move these over. I've got little bitty scraps over here if I need to do any more collaging. Okay, and then I'm going to just fold over the top. Doesn't matter, can be 1 inch, can be 2 inches, whatever you want. Okay, and on this one, I think I'm going to use my corner rounder and round my corners. These just use up so many scraps, and then you can add them to any journal, and it didn't take much effort, and they cost like nearly nothing because you're using stuff that's already in your scrap pile anyways. So I rounded all the corners, and then I want to find a pretty piece of scrapbook paper that I've got over here just kind of left over. Look at that. That's pretty. I like that. And I think I'm going to use that as like my longest piece. So I'm going to tear it about here. Okay. So that's going to go in there. Let's get some of this ad print paper and tear along this edge, and then we need to tear just a little bit more narrow because this is a narrow base that we're working with. I'm going to put that back behind this, and then you can see the torn edge there. I like that. And then let's tear this about here so it's just a little bit shorter than that pretty pattern paper we found in our scrap pile. Just like that. And you know, you can move it around and organize it how you need to before we start gluing anything down. Of course, let's use some of this fabric, this gorgeous fabric. I'm going to move that over just a little bit and put that in there, but I want to be able to see that torn edge of that ad print paper. Okay, and I might cut this off just a little shorter. It's just getting things at different angles in here and then getting it how you want it. I like that better. Okay, so just a little shorter is what I needed for this. I want some book page, and I want something that's not too yellowed. Ooh, that one's a little lighter. I like that. So let's do a piece like this, and then we'll see how long we need it to be. I want this maybe at the very back. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I like that. Let's make this, get a torn edge on this side, just barely. I'm going to go ahead, since I already like that, just put a little bit of glue at the top, and I'm going to put this one in like that. That way I can have this in here, and I can show whichever torn edge I want to. I like that. I think I will pull that down just a little bit like that, so that can be the longest piece. I'll go ahead and put that in there too. Scrappy bundled notions for our journals. Who would have ever thunk it, huh? Love that. Maybe this piece here. I like that. We need a little bit of a contrast back behind there. And then I want to put on a piece of lace. I like this piece. This feels like some 49 and Market paper. I like that. Let's cut it off about there and see what that looks like back behind here. Put that there, and this here. Oh, I like that. Yep, I like it just barely peeking out there. And then add that like that. Oh yeah, I like that. Okay, let's hold this down so nothing really moves around. And we can get this piece of cardstock glued down. We can get just a little bit of this fabric glued down. It's going to get caught up in that eyelet that we put on the top, so we don't have to worry too much. So I'm not going to use fabric glue or anything like that. I'm not too worried about that because I know it's going to get caught more than likely in the eyelet that goes on the top. So then just a little line of glue right there. Everything's going to get bundled up in that eyelet hole whenever we punch that, and we can fold that over. Ooh, I like that one. Very pretty. I like how the book page is coming out just a little bit. I'm going to just barely stamp on the top here. Like that. I really like that. Okay, and then put just a little bit of glue on the top. Pick out an eyelet, and I like this little copper looking one. I think that will go really well with that. And I'm using the larger hole on my crocodile and just kind of eyeballing middle. It doesn't matter to me if it's just spot on middle or not. Right through, and if you're using some fabric in there, you might get a little bit of resistance, but just keep on plugging. You'll be fine. Okay, so there's my eyelet in there. I'm going to set it. Oh, that's pretty. So I've got a little bit of that fabric in the middle of that, but I'm okay with that. And let's pick out, here is some lace trim I have had in my stash forever. And let's see if we can get that poked through so we can pull it and make us a bow. I might have a little bit too much here. Yep, I think I do. So I'm going to cut off just a little bit of this. Not too much, because I'll use that later in something. And then I'm going to tie a knot. So see, it's pretty as is. So if you want to double knot and just use the top as like a tag topper, or make a library knot at the top, you can. Oh, I like that trim. That is the last of it that I have left too. So I pull it through and then I pull at it again just to tighten that bow knot up, and then make my loops as big or as small as I want them. Oh yeah, that's pretty. And I kind of like the unevenness of the tails, so I think I'll leave that like that. I'm going to make these knots just a little, or the loops just a little bit smaller. There we go. I like that. Very pretty, and very pretty accents to add into your journals. Let's make one more. They're so easy. The hardest part is trying to figure out what part or what you want layered on top of each other. So that's why I kind of put the book page to the back, because I have a lot of book page now, because of a lot of nice people that have sent me book pages and books. So I do have quite a bit, so I can kind of afford to put book page toward the back. So I'm going to tear the bottom. That's the bottom of it I want it to be. And let's trim this. I want to use this book page on this one too. Let's trim this about there. And then fold over quite a big flap at the top. And I'm just going to round the corners of this at the top, the flap. I like that. And we'll use this piece of lace trim. We can use maybe one of these pieces of fabric, a little shorter piece there. And I want some of this shown, but I really, really, really love that torn edge. What can we do here? Let's do the bottom piece like that. And then, see, I really love that. So we're gonna get some grunge in on this one. And then maybe just cut it off about there. We get just a little bit of that in there. So this will be the only one that I make that has some grunginess to it, some inked edge. I'm going to rip the bottom of that one. So this one is going to be, that's the longest piece I'm going to put on there. And then I need to figure out what else I want to add to it. I might want to get another one of these little frames out of this ephemera pack that I'm just not going to use if they've got any more small ones in there. Ooh, I like those tickets. There's an idea. Let's keep that out. And here's another frame. Small one like that one that I used up there. I like that. And maybe this pink paper, let's tear it at the bottom too. And then let's just kind of layer up our stuff and see how we like it. I'm really loving that frame. And like I said, I wouldn't use that on anything else, so I'm good to use it here. And I think I want to add that fabric on top of that. I put that same fabric trim, that lace trim, on the top of that one, but I kind of like it on the bottom of this one. Oh, I'm already loving this one. Let's move this stuff up and keep my book page down so that I can see that. That was my whole purpose of using that page, was to be able to see that. And I kind of like this, and maybe turn it upside down so that the numbers are upside down. I'm going to make somebody just flip out here because I'm going to have my numbers upside down that's on my tickets. I'm okay with that. If I turn it the other way, the numbers are not going to be seen. So I like them upside down. All right, I think I need to turn this frame a little differently. So maybe like that. And let's see what that looks like. And then I think I need some dictionary page added to this one. A little longer strip, and put it back behind this frame like that, and pull it down some like that. Yep, I like that. So I'm going to start gluing everything and try to keep it as it is. Okay, there, and get that glue off that come off and come down too much, and make sure that I can see that. So I'll move my tickets over just a little bit. All right, and then glue up at the top just to hold it in, and then I will ink up this stamp and get me a little wording going on up there like that. Okay, and then it is eyelet time. I saw this, thought it was cute. I will put that on the flap. I've made this top flap wide enough that I can actually get something on it if I want to. Okay, there's that. And then let's make our hole for our eyelet. Just kind of get eyeballed in the middle, and then pick out an eyelet. I have the warm metal set of the standard ones, so that's all I have. I don't have any of the cool ones, which none of these really needed that anyway. I'm going to get just a little bit more glue over here on this side because this flap's wanting to pop up on that side. And then I'm going to set my eyelet. And then I'm going to break out the bubblegum pink seam binding and go through the middle of that one. And then I just cut off about, I mean, that's probably a good 20 inches of seam binding. But you probably don't need that much because you don't have to make your bow as big because your fingers are not fumble fingers like mine. I have horribly fumble fingers when it comes to getting little delicate things together anyway. So I like this one with its big tails on it. I might trim them up just a little bit, but let's make these little loops smaller and make that knot better. I like that one. And I'm not that much of a pink fan, but I like that one. Let's trim our tails up. So you could probably get away with about 16 inches of seam binding to put at the tops of these. And this is the crinkle seam binding. So if yours is not crinkled like that, then you could go with even less than that. But I think these are the cutest little accents to your junk journals, especially if you are into shabby chic style junk journals. I just love these. So if you make some of these, make sure to use the hashtag #MScrapbusters. I want to see them. I want to leave you some love. So if you make them, make sure to use that hashtag so I can find it and I can leave you some love on that. Y'all have a great day. I hope you have enjoyed this funky little scrappy bundled notion project. It's a little outside of the boundaries of I'd have never thought of that kind of stuff, but I love them, and I love just the shabby chic junky look of them. And if you grunge them up, I want to see some of those too, because I didn't grunge up hardly any of mine, but those grungy ones would look even more beautiful, I'm sure, than my plain shabby chic ones. Y'all have a great day. Love ya. Bye, y'all.